Hello, my love, and welcome back to Being That Woman. I'm so excited about today's episode. If you're a woman who can really identify with being in that space of continuously giving your all, you're doing everything and you're trying all the things and you're really giving 100% at life, but yet it still doesn't feel like it's making you tick. And in all honesty, you're feeling unfulfilled and maybe even a little exhausted. Well, this episode is really going to support you. Firstly, I just want to say the high achieving woman. Yes, when I first heard this term, I thought the high achieving woman was like some CEO, boss babe. Yeah, someone who worked in corporate with a suit, power suit, and was, a high earner. And then I learned that actually a high achieving woman is not that. A high achieving woman is the woman that is trying to give her all and be the best and continuously prove and push, almost perform to the world that she's worthy. So it could be the mum that's the old rounder, doing all the mum things and taking the kids to all the sports activities and giving them the best foods and all the after school hobbies and all of the things. Or it could be the girlfriend that is trying to please her man and constantly thinking about what he wants and what he wants to do. Or it could simply, also be the best friend that's always there and always asking how their friends are and constantly giving and ticking boxes. When I first heard that, I was like, wow, well, I definitely fit into quite a few of those categories, not the mum or the wife or the girlfriend, but I can definitely identify with, being the giver and also putting myself out there and doing things and trying all the things and trying to be the best and perfecting things. And the good news about this is that it's a pattern. It's not who we are. It's something that as little girls, we picked up when we tried to make sense of the world, when we were first in this world thinking, what do I do in this big thing, we adopted patterns and they're survival patterns. And basically we learned through these patterns how to relate to the world, to other people, to ourselves, not necessarily effectively though. And the bad news for some of you is that actually high achieving isn't success. Well, it can be success if that's the way you measure success. If you measure success in how much energy you put out and how much you per se achieve, your financial goals, your weight goals, your PBs, your career aspirations, if you want to put and measure success into that and then have that be your source of fulfillment, cool. Maybe this episode isn't for you. And this episode is actually for the woman who wants to feel a deeper, richer sense of fulfillment. One that necessarily doesn't mean that you have to give all of your energy to others. You have to be constantly doing, you have to be constantly on to the next thing, thinking, planning, organizing, ticking boxes, and then you're on to the next thing. This really is for the woman that wants to unsubscribe to all of that and really just have a sense of fulfillment, ease, relaxation, pleasure, yes, like exhale in your life without having to do anything. I know, it sounds mad, doesn't it? Like I could actually just live my life and live my days without having to tick anything off or do anything and actually still feel good about myself. Yes, it's possible. And what I'm going to share now is the 3 key ways in which these patterns were created. So as I shared, more than likely, as a young girl, you learned that you had to do and be and perform in a certain way in order to receive the feedback loop, co-regulation, the yes from other people. So the number 1 is belonging. If you, at some point in your life, for me, this was definitely around the age of 12, 13, you had your belonging threatened. So maybe at home, you didn't feel like you belonged. I definitely identified as the black sheep. I was a little bit different I was a bit more of a live wire, the outspoken one, the demanding one. Because that was not the norm or not the appeasing thing to do, I felt different. I felt like I didn't belong because I wasn't acting like my sibling and I wasn't acting like I was told to act. So there's almost like a paradigm of the outsider, you know? And then equally at school was challenging because I was bullied, and I've been open about this in episode 1 about how my friends bullied me at school. And of course, that threatens your belonging. So immediately what you do when you feel like you don't belong is you try anything to belong. So what would a young girl do who felt like she didn't belong? She would scan and search, like, how do I fit in? What do I do? What do I need to be? How do I need to act? What do I need to wear? And then there is a conformism that happens with that, and an achieving. Oh, well, I'll just, do everything to then fit in and belong. Number 2 is you were rewarded, more than likely, especially by dad, for what you do and not who you be. So this would show up, for example, if there was no emotional availability with dad. And instead, dad was very much, oh, yeah, great, you're doing so good at hockey and netball, and really rewarding you for what you do. And that is how there was an emotional connection between you and dad, and also possibly mom as well, but more so presenting itself with dad. You learned really early on that you had to achieve. You had to do great at your grades, homework, after school activities. So you became almost like a performer and a doer and an achiever. And this, for me, presented itself because I used to paint. I used to paint all the time as a child. It was definitely like my source of outlet, because I grew up in a lot of chaos and an environment that just did not feel good. And I would paint. And I remember every single Friday, my dad would come home from the factory, because he owned a factory at the time. So they used to work really long hours. But I remember he would come home on a Friday and I would paint loads. I would put loads of paintings around, and he would give me money in exchange for the painting. So then I would be, of course, like, if you're giving me 10, 20 quid for a painting, I'm going to paint 10 or 20 paintings, right? I definitely realized when I was doing this work of like, oh, that's where the love language was. The love language was in money, was in achieving, was what I do. So how can I do more? How can I do more? Because I need to fully feel it. But of course, it's a false sense of connection. It isn't truly about me. It's about what I'm doing. So there was so much there for me in that piece. And maybe you identify with that one, or you identify with one. I identify with all 3 of these. Number 3 is if you grew up in chaos. This was me. Grew up, we moved around maybe like 10 times when I was younger, always in a different environment, not so much school. School was the same school from primary school upwards, but lived in different places, domestic violence. Mum and dad weren't around. Dad left when I was 12. Chaos. More than likely what happens if we live in this inconsistency is we will try and find consistency, but we'll try and find it through control. If you're a woman who grew up in a lot of chaos and you now know, like, oh, I have to like do all the things, organize, plan ahead, figure things out. I need to know. I need to know what's going on tomorrow. I need to know what's going on next weekend. I need to know what's going on in 2 months. I need to be a planner and an organizer. I need to have things in the house in certain ways and organized, because there's a level of control, because the inconsistency in the nervous system from the younger ages is still playing out and still feels unsafe when there isn't anything that's planned or controlled or something that we know. So the achieving then transpires itself into organizing, planning, doing, trying to have a lot on your plate and do a lot on the to-do list and continuously be in action of doing something, because you've got to put that energy somewhere and you've got to put it towards something that you know and something that you can control, because it feels safe. And that's the bit that I really want to drill home here, is that What we're really talking about here is safety, is safety in being ourselves, because there's been an unavailability to either be fully expressive in who we are, sharing our voice, like me, with the belonging at home. It's like, oh, there's Anna with this very wild opinion and wants to do something different. Rather than calling her demanding or a diva, why not just celebrate her for her choosing what she wants to do, or choosing a different direction, even if it's not the direction of everyone else. Let's celebrate her and really just meet her in her uniqueness. So if there isn't anything like that you experienced as a child, like I didn't experience as a child, you're gonna wanna then try and control something, because there's a part of you that we all have that wants to belong and be in pack and stay safe in expressing ourselves. So if it isn't safe to express ourselves, like for example with me, wasn't safe to go left when everyone else was going right, I quickly learned oh, that isn't safe. It isn't okay to be me. So what did Anna do? Anna was very mute, very subdued, very moody. Anna had an eating disorder, did not have an appetite. And then when that didn't work, because then that's also a strategy. That's also a strategy of trying to withdraw and pull back. But because that also didn't work and it didn't create belonging, Anna then went to achieve. Anna then went to uni. Anna then went on to have 25 jobs since the age of 16 up until university. Anna then climbed up the corporate ladder and did all the things. Then Anna set up a business, and it bled into business as well. Just being able to see, oh, all of that came from not being able to fully express my truth and be okay with being different, which is so huge, because the truth is we're all unique, we all matter. And fundamentally, we all have our own quirks, and we all have our own little ways of being, and we all have different opinions. We all have a way of living that we want to live, because following the rules of society, it is not working for most people. The rates of depression and the rates of anxiety and the rates of disconnection and loneliness are on the rise. So if we look at why that might be, well, it's down to each fundamental person and how they're feeling about themselves in this big world and with other people, because we're all here to essentially relate to each other. And we can't feel safe if we can't relate with each other in a way in which is harmonious, in a way in which we give other people permission to be themselves as well, versus, okay, this person's behaved in a certain way and I'm going to react to it because, of course, it's got to be something about me because I've done something wrong, or they don't like me, or they don't love me. So you can already start to see how the lack of inner safety, the lack of being really, really secure in oneself can then lend itself to high achieving, but that becomes an overdriver and an overgiver and an overstimulator because it's not real. It's still performance. It's still perfectionism. It's still trying to attain safety with other people through doing something to create a response and a feedback loop of they like me, I'm doing well, my life's going great, I've got all the things, I've ticked the box of the house, I've ticked the box of the career, I've ticked the box of relationship. I ticked all those fucking boxes. I bought a house when I was 26 years old. I thought that was going to be the cherry on top of a cake that I hadn't even fully eaten or created, Turns out that was actually more stressful than anything that I'd ever actually experienced up until that point. Didn't work. Then I got the career. Went into this high-flying fashion career that honestly I chose because Rachel chose it from friends and it sounded great and I loved fashion. So I was like, I'll do that at uni. It just goes to show my lack of really being able to connect with what I wanted to do. I followed a sitcom. How crazy is that? Being in that high achieving in London, do, go, create the, momentum and get myself another promotion and all of that. I hated it. I was made redundant 5 times, and it took all of those 5 redundancies for me to get the clear sign that I'm like, this achieving thing, it's not working for me, because I wasn't truly happy and I was being honest with myself. And that's the point, because if you're not feeling secure and safe in who you are, nothing on the outside of you is going to tick. The man will infuriate you and trigger you and displease you and not pleasure you. The career will continuously pressure you, force you, and have you thinking, oh my God, why did I choose this career? I need to leave. The kids will irritate you and rumble and ruffle your feathers continuously. And, your friends will just continuously feel like they don't like you, or you'll question why you're friends with them, or you'll wonder do they even like me? And that's the point, because you can achieve all those things outside of you, but if you still don't feel safe in your own body, in your own thoughts, in your own mind, then everything on the outside will just be null and void. And here's the thing. You might not even have any triggers on the outside. You might have perfect kids. You might have a great career. You might have a sexy, supportive husband. But you might not even still be able to fully feel it. There might even be a sense of, oh my God, I can't accept, I can't receive his love. I can't fully look at my children and be really present and be really in love with them. I can't fully feel the excitement in my career, because there is still something underneath that's feeling unsafe, and it's leaving you unfulfilled and not satiated with life. Even in the midst of, oh, well, I've got everything on paper. I hear this all the time with women that I work with. Anna, I have everything on paper. My life looks amazing on paper, but I don't fully feel alive. I don't fully feel ecstatic. I don't fully feel pleasured. I don't fully feel like it's enough. It's not enough. I need more. I need to change. Something needs to change. And we're so conditioned to look outside of us. Well, I need to achieve more. I need a bigger house. I need a better house. I need to redecorate the house. I need another child, or me and my husband need to go on holiday together, or I need a man. If I know that there's so many single women are like, oh my God, it's because I don't have a man. That's why I don't feel fully complete and I don't feel fully satisfied with my life, is because I'm still single. And yet women who work with me that then end up in relationship, it's like a whole new next level that we then have to work on, because then there's all of the fear that comes up as soon as she meets a man. And all of this is really just pointing out to the sense of self and being with self, that we're then so conditioned to move outside of ourselves and tick all of these boxes. One of the most powerful questions that my mentor, Alexi Panos, once said is, what are you pretending not to know? And honestly, I still get God bumps when I repeat that to myself. And I even support my clients in really getting underneath this as well. Because something that I know to be so, so deeply true is that the antidote to the high achiever is being radically self-honest with yourself, because there comes a point in your life, and it's going to come. Maybe it's going to come in, your 40s, 50s, even your 60s. I know for so many women, it kind of hits around the 35 mark as you're approaching 40. There becomes this real deep reflective initiation season, should we call it? And it's initiation into a new being, a new body, a new woman, a new identity. Because all of a sudden you start to realize that the things that you've been chasing don't hit. They don't actually feel like they're giving you a sense of orgasm, or you're remotely excited about them. So you move on to the next thing. You try and tick the next thing off. So you don't really fully be with the accomplishment or the achievement. Or equally, you find something to worry about it. You get the boyfriend and then all of a sudden you start looking at his flaws and the red flags. This is the point where you've got to start getting radically honest, because more often than not, if there is a pattern of continuously finding the flaws in the guy, or if there's a pattern of, I got that job that I wanted and now I don't like it, or if there is a pattern of like, I'm continuously moving or on to the next thing, but when I get the thing, it doesn't really fully feel good. There's an opportunity here for radical self-honesty, because the one common denominator in those patterns and those experiences, the feedback that you're getting from life, is you. And it can be the most uncomfortable piece to look at, because we get so ingrained in what we know and who we are and who we think ourselves to be and what we think is good for us and what we think is the right thing to do, that it can be so challenging to snap out of that and to really start taking radical self-responsibility and ownership for the state of our life and what's in it, but also how we're relating to it, how we're fully being with it. What are you pretending not to know? And I had to really face off with some really challenging pieces with this. I had to face off with the fact that I was an over-functioning overworker that was avoiding dating. And that was so hard for me, because relationship, it's been one of the most important ones for me to really fulfill for myself. But I had to meet myself with that high achiever that kept avoiding my dating experiences by being all in on work and making work the most important thing. And I know so many women do this. You avoid dating because it's a scary fucking world, and men and relationships and, your history with men and what you've picked up from society about men. And the whole piece is really, really scary. I get it. And also it's the gateway to the liberation of you being able to really heal fear. But what doesn't work is when we avoid these places that we actually really do want to create fulfillment in. We avoid them by being in other parts of our life that actually are taking up a lot of time and energy. All of that is really just about how we're actually being with ourselves and the fear that we have towards being seen, being heard, being supported. And that's the piece of safety that so many women really deeply yearn for, but find it so challenging because there's these patterns that are out at play. So one of the things I want to bring to you today is asking yourself the question and being really, really honest with yourself is, yes, what are you pretending not to know? But also what really fucking matters. Because we can get lost in the new kitchen and booking the holiday, and we can get lost in finding ourselves something really pretty to wear and making ourselves look good and all of that. And that's a whole separate thing. But what really fucking matters? Like when we come down to it, what really, 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 really matters is our aliveness, is being alive in each and every single moment, because this isn't a dress rehearsal. We really are here to fully live. And that's going to look unique to every single woman. And it's not necessarily fully live outside of ourselves, like go on the big backpacking trip and all of that. Like, yes to all of those things. I'm a big, big, big advocate of a woman fully living her external life in the way in which she wants to and having those experiences, yes, but not from emptiness, not from scarcity, from a full cup, from her feeling fully abundant in who she is and how she speaks to herself and how she wakes up in the morning and the first words that she says to herself and how she treats herself and who she allows to be in her space. Because your energy, you've really got to think of it as a luxury item, and it's really, really expensive. And not everyone can have access to it. Not everyone can afford it. And that's the bit where every single woman gets to feel that and achieve that sense of energy and sense of self. My love, I hope that this episode brought something really, really juicy to your mindset, to your perspective, to your feeling body as well. And if it really, really hit you, I'd love a 5-star review and a share and a tag on Instagram so that I can connect with you and know that you're on this incredible journey of being that woman.